All right, we got two hangmen here, and I see at least one muskrat.
So hangman, that's kind of new to me. Let me see how that.
Let's see what we. Okay, so this one has nothing, and so the whole point of it is that they're attracted by the bait. Oh, this one's a hard one to set. Some traps are harder than others, and if you make that hooah sound, it helps.
These bloodshot eyes of knowledge, too proud to ever behold the all that is this and nothingness out on the bad river road, out on the bad river road.
Some traps are harder than others, and if you make that hooah sound, it helps.
So that 1.5, is that what that is?
That's a number 2.
Number 2.
It's a worthless trap for anything but muskrats.
Yeah, I remember those used to be like the fox. Oh, you got to use number 2 to get.
Yeah. And so they also see it as a platform.
Right.
We'll get a little more bait down below here. But this one has a muskrat.
Perfect.
Oh, that's a big daddy.
That's a little bit bigger one. Ooh.
And this one also, I switched it over to the Cold Creek pan, and it's real easy to get it to the right tension you want. So not only is this number 2 square jaw a good muskrat trap, I made it better with that pan on it.
So you put your own pan on there?
Yeah. So you just get it onto the hangman, and it'll drop every time. Unlike the others on the market, this will drop. It cannot not drop, and the muskrat goes down and drowns. It can't fail. Now, a trap can spring off for various reasons, but if the muskrat gets caught, the trap's going down. And so these are heavy traps.
Yeah, that's pretty humane. They don't last very long.
I've got them on camera getting caught and going down, and they don't even come up for air.
No, not at all. What? Grain hauler.
Now, I was telling you this thing about this high water. A lot of people wouldn't have a problem, but I do. And so next thing it'll be on the seat belt, and it'll be on the steering wheel, and then I'll have some on my forehead I won't know about. And
we won't tell you about it.
No, why would you? It's not funny if you tell me about it.
You got it all over the place.
And these muskrats, they eat this high water. They'll eat it up. And I've got it on night vision, them just eating this stuff like crazy.
Another big one. I remember when we were little, we didn't think that bait even did anything. And then we experimented way back in the day with parsnips, and the numbers went up. And you experimented too, right? It's like you were getting a certain amount, and then they trap them out a little bit, and then you put the bait on, and the numbers came right back up with it.
In particular, in the spring, after the breeding is done, the floats kind of, on me, would go dead. They weren't crawling up to mark them. And so last year, I was down from maybe 100 rats a day to 60, 70, and I thought, okay, I'm trapping them out. I put the bait back on the floats. I just put it on liberally on every float, and I was back up into the 90s immediately.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I was always you know, I guess you can learn new things, but I always thought you don't need bait.
Wiebe Trapline Adventures is brought to you by Wiebe Big Game Skinning and Processing Knives. Available now at wiebeknives.com. Who's Your Trapper Supply, your complete trapline outfitter. And by FurTakerTV.com, the largest selection of trapping videos online.
It's just amazing how much water there is around here. Hey, you got some, you need more lure?
No, it's full of lure.
Oh, I see. You got lure on the, you got lure everywhere.
All right, we got ourselves a, as my buddy Toad would say, muskrat!
Muskrat!
He was so wired. He passed in the last year here. Herm knew him real well.
We did know him well. Greatest thing ever, that was his thing. And then he'd go on to greatest things ever, like muskrat trapping, greatest thing ever. Beaver trapping he loved that. He would spend hours, his fur was immaculate the way he took care of it. And then duck hunting was the greatest thing ever, and later in the life, creating habitat was the greatest thing ever.
Well, he got into photography too.
Oh, that's right.
Bird photography, I think, was mainly what it was.
Yeah. We always liked birds. His goal in life at one time was to catch, or was to mount every waterfowl species in North America. So I don't know if he ever got there or not.
Trapping is, for me, it's been a common bond. I'm blessed to have friends all over the country and Canada, and some of these guys like Herm and Toad, and they go back 50 years, and it's
More than
really
50.
a blessing. Ooh.
It's more than 50.
Well, yeah.
Forget how old you
trapping.
are.
Yeah, I'm 64, so yeah.
Well, we were talking earlier when that first year we were trapped, because I thought it was like 7th grade, and then you said it was 8th grade. But we did a lot of goofing around before that. No
Yeah.
trapping.
Coon hunting, we did a lot of that.
The coon hunting, right?
I had an epiphany a couple of years ago. I don't know why, but I recognized how blessed I was to have a lot of good friends, but there was more to it. I recognized that they were tolerant to me. A lot of my life I've been critical of people. Oh, they annoy me and this and that. And somehow I recognized that it might be me that is the annoying one.
What?
Yeah, and I recognize that, and ever since that epiphany, call it what you will, message from God, I've known that friendships are truly a blessing.
Chris, what Wiebe knife do you have in your pocket?
Hey Chad, I got the Vixen.
Very cool. What do you use that for?
Well, I use it for just about everything. From in the kitchen to the garden to hunting, trapping. I can just switch blades out and carry on with my business. Spent a lot of time grilling and barbecuing and camping. It's become my favorite knife. And being a carpenter, I really love the wooden handle.
Cool. So what made you pick a Wiebe?
Well, best knife on the market. Pretty sweet knife, replaceable blade, and just like that, you got a brand new knife every time.
So do you remember putting the arrows in the rough?
I had this thing. Oh, I was so intrigued with how high you could shoot an arrow.
And how much you could get it and shoot that up and come straight down.
Yeah, I'm surprised I never killed anybody, but Herm, you tell them what happened then.
Well, so I was with actually my future wife, who was a neighbor, and my parents had a lake place, and for some reason we left Mark there by himself, which was a big mistake to begin with, and we had an archery range set up next to the house. So we come driving up, and there's about 3 arrows sticking out of the roof of my parents' house. So most people would have got mad, but we know where I was coming from, so we thought it was pretty funny. So we walk up there, and Mark goes, "Hey, watch this. This is really cool." So zing, the arrow goes up, and it's coming straight down for us. And we're all kind of freaking out, and there was kind of an overhang on the house. So I grab my future wife and pull her under the overhang. We're all kind of clinging up to the house, and we hear clank, and we go around to the back of the house, and here the arrow had gone straight through the rain gutter, was sticking in the ground, and there was water dripping out of the rain gutter right perfectly onto the arrow. You can't make stuff like that up, but
It was hysterical.
it was hysterical.
Wiebe Trapline Adventures is brought to you by North American Trappers Dakota Series snares and snare products, DakotaLineFur.com, the largest selection of quality graded tan furs, and by Naturally Bob Pet Shampoo, pet safe shampoo, available at Shields.com.
It was knowing that her and a priest were a couple.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
which that would not have been a good thing. Did you hear the one about the nun and the priest?
All right, so the hangman produced here, and just from, I've watched quite a few of them get caught on camera, and what they do is they just swim up and they stand on the trap. I didn't take note if he was caught by the hind feet, but normally you'll get them by the hind feet, and they'll stand on their hind feet and whammo. And they'll start eating that.
Yeah, I think this was a back footer.
Just hangs like that.
Pretty nice one too.
Some states you can't set, they're very limited. You can't set on a muskrat house, and so you can set these right by the muskrat
Really, not
house.
on a muskrat house?
There are a lot of states you can't set on the house.
That seems weird.
We're in just incredible prairie pasture region, and some mornings, if you have an inversion in the fall, you can smell the methane coming off, and it's just like a cloud, and it smells really good to me, and but that's part of living in South Dakota. That's why I moved here.
Gotta get some on you.
So yeah, so that's the beauty of South Dakota.
Okay.
With Tom Parr here at the 2022 National Trappers Association in Lima, Ohio, and Tom is a passionate trap collector. Tom, what could you tell us about this trap here?
Well, this one was made by Oneida Community back in probably 1920s, possibly. They made a series of this trap. As a collector, some of the things that you look for when you're buying a trap is it all original? And this one happens to, as you can see, the chain has been replaced with a piece of wire, and so this part is all correct, but the chain is added, and this is in fact a Blake and Lamb chain on this trap. But a very nice trap. They made a whole series of these during that period of time. Oneida Community was in business and they made traps from 1852 to 1925. And so this is one of their traps, and it has a hump post, and this is called the dog, the pan, the jaws, and this is a double underspring trap.
Any guess what that would be worth?
Probably in the neighborhood of, as it is here, maybe $50 to $75.
Okay. You can see a lot of traps at Tom's Trap Museum in Galloway, Ohio. It's a fantastic place.
There you go.
And the key on these hangman is to just set them out of the water. I found it works a lot better. Uh-oh, right at that jelly stuff.
Oh, you missed it. That was the hammer time.
And I mean, we developed these, and I experimented with them a lot, and I'm convinced they work better if you just put them out of the water. Some states in the spring you got to have your trap underwater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, North Dakota, the main one.
Huh.
And so they just see that as a platform. All right. Oh, I feel a muskrat. We got two.
Double.
Two muskrats, and
Cooking with oil now.
this body.
Oh.
Oops.
Don't get your.
I do that every year. End up wasting.
Oh, it's cold.
Now I
It's
gotta
deep too.
steal them with my foot. So me and Herm and Herm's dad, EH is what we called him, we were flushing rats down in their basement. And EH was just a great guy, and nothing in that one. And so just to entertain me, Herm would take a piece of fat and throw it on the back of his dad. And I would go into hysterics every time he did it. And EH would turn around and look at me and, oh, you're squirrely. And then he'd do it again. And finally, EH went upstairs. He'd probably had enough of 2 8th graders, you know, or 2 9th graders.
Wiebe Trapline Adventures is brought to you by the all-new Wiebe Fillet Knife for fishermen, available now at wiebeknives.com, by Cumberland's Northwest Trappers Supply, and by Mark Steck Animal Lures, quality baits and lures with proven performance.
My basement, you know, you would snap the rats a little bit, and a piece of meat would fly off, and there was dried meat and stuff, and my sister just flipped out one day. She was a good-looking girl and a senior in high school, and she swore that the whole house smelled like muskrats and her clothes smelled like muskrats.
Did. She's
Probably
the
did.
homecoming queen.
Yeah.
That was probably some of the early lure. That's why she won homecoming queen.
Yeah. So my dad put an oil burning stove out in the garage, and I was then had the skin in the garage, which was fine. He was smart. I was like EH. EH knew if you had a passion for something, and my dad did too, to feed it, because it's a good passion.
Well, it was perfect. He had that little garage there, so that was probably put a heater in there, and
EH kept beer in their basement, and we weren't supposed to take it, but he knew we were, but it kept us home.
right. What happened with this one?
Well, I put the problem with these number 2 coils is the pans go down too easy, and so the float gets a rocking when you get wind or a muskrat and the traps spring off. So I put the Cold Creek pinch pans on here.
Yep.
And that, I think, is going to eliminate that problem, because they're much easier to manage the tension on them. And so
Cold Creek actually makes those specific just as replacement?
yeah, they can go on most traps.
Huh. Interesting.
And you can see there's a little notch there, so
Yeah.
you can see how much dog is into the pan, and they just don't spring off like the stock pans. And then there's a tensioner nut there if you want. I keep them free falling, but you can put tension on there and control it pretty well. And you guys said there's nothing on the other side?
The snapper. So did you come up with the idea of floaters?
No.
They've been around a while.
Well, yes and no. Nobody really knew about this style of trapping, and a guy up in this area, he was doing it, and then Rich Casper, he learned about it, and I made a video for him, and next thing you know, everybody's doing it. And it's so much fun, it's easy.
Well, that's like you kind of bragged that you caught all these muskrats and never used a boat.
Never used a what?
A boat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, last year I had my best year ever. I was 63, and I caught, I hate to throw out numbers, but 2,300 rats.
That's
and
a lot.
all just in the road ditches.
Yeah. 2,300 rats, road ditches.
And you trap 1,000 rats in the fall. That's quite a good number.
That is a good number. I think our best was a little over that. It was a year when they were worth a lot too.
I mean, you got to work to get the boat around. And my first experience in a boat was I went with the Hermels in 9th grade.
Yep.
And it was a Sunday, right after the setting day.
Okay.
And EH gave me this little boat in a little bay and a push pole.
Yep.
And I was just in heaven. I must have had 10 to 20 rats in the boat. And I was learning to push pull that boat. And it was a day like this, no wind, and it was overcast. And you had a toothache. Do you remember that?
I had a toothache. I remember you going trapping with us, and I push pulled too.
You were miserable and kind of irritable because your face was starting to swell up from the toothache. And
I'm guessing I probably had it pulled.
anyway,
You know what that was from? Remember, did you ever go to Doc Hall, the dentist? He
No.
was a butcher.
it's been a good day. I mean, the catch wasn't phenomenal, but it's been a good day. I'm 64, Herm's 64, and we're both still doing it. And, you know, I kind of look at it as I'm on house money nowadays, and I'm going to do it as long as I can. And so until next week, peaceful waters.
There's a little left, there's something else out on the bad river road. Out on the bad river road. The whole wide world's at your fingertips. But it's still